Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm probably going to share my screen, and this is the first trick that you're gonna see. I'm gonna share my screen, I'm going to go up to advanced, and actually, you know what? I'm gonna move it down here so you can see what I'm doing. I am moving this to advanced. This is the share screen, and in advanced here, I can enter content from a second camera. And as I enter the content from a second camera, I'm going to share and I'm going to, this is not the camera that I wanted. This is not the view that I wanted. I'm going to switch cameras and we're going to get to the point where you see what I have. I'm back here and I took over your entire screen. Okay, I'm going to start, and I'm actually going to start with this picture. See, here's the deal. I was taking my friends, back when I was in San Francisco, I was taking my friends up for a flight. And I'm taxiing to the runway, and at some point, one of my friends said, "Hey, Yoram, do the pilot's voice." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? What pilot's voice?" And said, do the pilot's voice. You know what I'm talking about. I have no idea. Do the pilot's voice. And so I have no idea what he's talking about. And I taxied and I got to the runway and I'm waiting outside of the runway. And I went to the tower. I switched. I told everybody, "Hey, listen, I'm going to be talking to the tower here in a second. So be quiet when I do that." And then I said, "Reed Hillview Tower, Cherokee 3016 Tango is ready to go at 3-1 right." That's when it hit me. I do have the pilot's voice. But why was I using that pilot's voice? Because I had to tell the controller something. I had to tell them that I'm the coolest, meanest, baddest person around here. I know what I'm doing. I am in control and do not mess with me. Because there is so much more than words. You know, you may have heard that a picture is worth 1,000 words. It's actually something that came from a commercial back in 1927. And actually, I think the first time it was said was in 1906. That one look is worth 1,000 words. And that's why videos are so important to me. This, by the way, is my birthday. That was last Friday, and my wife made a celebration for me. And so we got everybody from Israel and from Italy and from wherever you wanted. And they all participated in my birthday this way because video is that important. And you know me enough to know that I'm pretty involved in technology, and this is why I started taking over this whole Zoom thing long before we had the pandemic. And when the pandemic started, it was just like, okay, I have this other tool. Now I'm going to confess a little. I had business. I've done good business in this year. One of the most rewarding things that I have done is that video series that you can find on Tech Tips for Speakers. My channel is not monetized. I get nothing from putting those videos, but just seeing others that look at those videos and they go, "Oh, I know how to do that now," is the most fulfilling thing that I had in this pandemic. Anyway,
I'd like to give a vote of confidence to everybody about what you're talking about. I've watched hundreds of videos trying to get my studio working, and your videos have been the most consistently clearest understanding of what's going on from the other ones I've seen. And they have just, I would not have a studio working if it wasn't for your videos.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, they
And
really strong.
and every now and then we get on a phone together and we do stuff, or we
Usually
get,
starting with help.
yes. Anyway, I do recommend that you take this link, techtipsforspeakers.com, and I bought the domain just so that it will be an easier way to get into my YouTube playlist for speakers on Zoom. Anyway, this is what I'm going to cover today. I'm going to start with the question with how hard is it? We're going to go over hardware. I'm going to talk a little about advanced zoom, a few of the features, and I already showed you one interesting feature. I'm going to talk most of the time about a tool called OBS that if you are not willing to spend money, then this is the right tool for you because it doesn't cost anything. I will talk about internet backup a little at the end. I'll talk about power backup a little at the end. Now, I have 4 warnings for you when we start. The first one is this is going to feel like drinking from the fire hose. I've been to NSA meetings and labs where it felt like we're getting a lot of material. This is going to feel like drinking from the fire hose. If it feels like drinking from the fire hose, all I can ask is just one thing. Please, drink responsibly. The second thing is that when you learn a skill, well, it's not the second thing. When you learn a skill, the best way to learn it is I'm going to explain it. I'm going to demonstrate it. You're going to do it while I supervise. Then you're going to do it by yourself, and then you're going to do it many times, and this is how you build a skill. We don't have that luxury here tonight. So what we're going to do is I'm going to explain it. I'm going to demonstrate it. You're not going to do it now, but this is why it's so important that this session is actually recorded, because this is one of those things that you're going to remember that you saw me do something. Go look at the recording and see how to do it after the session. Okay, next. Today's session is going to be overwhelming, but again, it is recorded. Go back to the recording. I'm going to build the foundation for understanding, so I'm going to explain how some of the things work, just so you know it fits. It fits so much better. It's so much easier to understand when it fits well in your brain. I'm going to show you how to do a few of the things, some of the more important ones. I'm going to show you what is possible in case you want to do it later. And again, there's always techtipsforspeakers.com where you can find all of my videos. They're free and I'm not even getting anything. Warning number 2. This is just a tip. This is just, a taste of what I put in that channel. And things that I do in general. Third warning is I get distracted really easily. It is your job as much as it is mine to keep me on track. You keep me on track. We're done at 8:30 and nobody gets hurt. Finally, I can almost guarantee that we're going to have technical difficulties. I can almost guarantee that's the nature of technology. And if we do, I'm going to do a few things. And if for some reason I drop off of this call, don't worry, I'll be back. We will have technical difficulties and we'll just get over them. Let's start with the agenda. What I'm going to do is with every one of those sections, I put down on a piece of paper how long am I going to spend on each one of them. And again, I'm going to run pretty quickly, but I'm going to leave a few minutes for questions on this specific topic, and then a few minutes at the end. And again, you do have the video. Let's start with hardware. Actually, you know what? The first is not hardware. The first is how hard is it? So to answer the question, how hard is it? I'm going to ask you, how hard is it to land an F-18 on an aircraft carrier? Now, this is actually a picture from a game that I have that's called Digital Combat Simulator. And I do fly F-18s. I do fly real planes in the real world, but not F-18s. That's the only thing on my bucket list, to actually fly an F-18 and land on an aircraft carrier. I can land this F-18 on an aircraft carrier, except I couldn't in the first 70 times, 70 times I tried, I could not land on an aircraft carrier. It takes practice. So how hard is it? You just have to ask yourselves these questions. Do I need this? Do my clients need this? You don't have to do everything that I do. Do you have time to learn it? Are you intimidated by the technology? Don't worry if you're intimidated by the technology, because the more you do it, the more it feels natural. There are pieces of technology today that years ago you were intimidated by and you're not anymore. Will you have the time to do it over and over again? There are things that every time I do them, I have to relearn them because I don't do them often enough. And are you creative for some of the things that you're going to need here? And if not, just have someone who's creative help you in those areas. Now, again, why is video important? You are all familiar, very familiar with the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover. That's so bull. Everybody judges books by the cover. We judge articles by the title, by the headline. We judge things by the first look, and videos are so powerful. And what you present, what you project is so helpful. So it is important. I'm not going to say it's not important. I'm not going to say that you need a green screen like I have here and all of the fancy things that I'm going to do, but those are important. Let's switch to another view here. Okay, next, let's talk about hardware. And I'm going to break hardware into several parts. Cameras. So first of all, the first story is the camera on the left is a Logitech C310. This is a full 720p, which is nowhere near what a C90 does with 1080p. That was my first webcam, and I was building a course for Udemy. That was quite a few years ago. And I shot the first video, I sent them the video, and they said, this is nowhere near the quality that we need. This is when I started learning what cameras to use. The picture on the right is my iPhone 6S. One day a friend of mine comes in and said, I need you to shoot videos for me. And I'm like, but I don't do that. You know, I talk about trust or innovation culture. I don't do videos. He said, well, we have a problem. One of his clients, he's a consultant, one of his clients, you may have heard the name, it's Walmart, came to him and said, we want you to do a series of training videos. And they were talking about the concept, and he showed them one of my videos, and they said, that's what we want. And he said, so I need you to do the same videos. And I'm like, I don't have a professional camera at that time. I'm doing them with an iPhone. He said, they're fine with it. The first video project, we did that with an iPhone. But today, there's a variety of cameras that you might have. I'm going to let it take the entire screen so you'll see better. This is the standard, the industry standard. This is the Logitech C920. This is the new Brio, Logitech Brio. Now, it's a 4K camera. The question is, do we care that it's a 4K camera? Zoom is not going to let you pass 4K. But these cameras, including the camera that you have in your laptop itself, these cameras do not have optical zoom. And or your iPhone as well, they do not have optical zoom. And because they don't have optical zoom, if you need to zoom, if you need the camera closer to you, unless you can do it manually, physically, then you're going to need to use something that's called digital zoom. The problem with digital zoom is that it hurts performance. It hurts the resolution. Unless you have a 4K camera, and if you do zoom up to 2x, you get closer and you still maintain high definition 1080p, which is the highest resolution that Zoom will let you pass. Next, this is my favorite, a little device called CamLink. And what I do is I connect CamLink to either a DSLR camera that is capable of video, or actually to a video camera. Jim, for example, these days is using a video camera. I'm using a DSLR camera. CamLink is a device. These cameras have an output that is an HDMI output. This device allows you to take the HDMI output and put it into your PC, and it behaves just like a webcam. Last option is there is an app. I still have the word Kinoni here. They were actually got acquired by Elgato, the same company that makes the CamLink and the Stream Deck. They have this device, this software as well, that is an app that runs on your phone and turns your phone into a webcam as well. There is another camera that I'm toying with actually getting. It is a simpler camera, but still it has optical zoom. And the advantage of optical zoom, which by the way is the same thing that a DSLR and the camcorder have. They have optical zoom. They can maintain the same resolution even when you zoom in, unlike digital cameras unlike webcams that have only digital zoom. This is what the Elgato, what did I call it? EpoCam looks like. This is this app. This is what it looks like on your phone. And one thing that I should say is it can use Wi-Fi, but it can also use USB. So you can actually connect your iPhone to your PC with the USB cable and use it as your webcam. And I'll tell you one thing, the quality is pretty amazing. I'll move on to talk about microphones. So kind of one of the most standard microphones is the Blue Yeti. This is about $150, I believe, microphone. There's one from Rode. There's one from Audio-Technica. There is a shotgun microphone. You know, one of the most important things that you can have is a good microphone, because if you don't come across with very good sound, that is a guarantee for a bad video or a bad experience. Believe it or not, even more important than the video camera that you have. There are different patterns for the microphone, and it's important that you know what pattern you're using. There's omnidirectional, which means that the microphone is going to pick sound all around. There's bidirectional, which is great when you interview someone who's with you in the room. So the microphone is very sensitive in one direction and in the other direction. Unidirectional or cardioid, this is what I typically set it up, because I'm going to be sitting right here where the 0 is, and the microphone picks up most of the sound from over there. Then there are a few others. Lights, there are different types of lights. Today, I swear by LED lights because one, they have very good quality, and two is that you can adjust them. Several things to look at the an LED light that you get, not only an LED light, and that is, first, I like them to be 5000K. 5000K is the color temperature. When you buy lamps or light bulbs, you know that you buy them and they have this, you know, it's soft light or daylight. 5000K is daylight. So pick up a daylight light or a 5000K light, or anywhere between 5000 and 5600. They're very light, but they give the best color performance. Another thing that you care about is a CRI of better than 95. This is kind of the accuracy of the light, how accurate it is. And finally, does it have intensity control? Next, I'll move to the side. Can you still see it? Give me a thumbs up if you see well enough. Okay, the two people that I still see pictures of, give me the thumbs up. Here's something else to keep in mind, okay? So you have your laptop or your computer. You have speakers. Maybe you're even using your computer speakers. But those speakers would come back through the microphone. Zoom, OBS, other pieces of software will have typically the ability to avoid this echo, but in many cases they won't. The microphone, just like it picks up your voice, will also pick up the speakers. So what do you do about that? Well, I have something that's called an IFB headphone. It comes into my ear. It's very expensive, very expensive. The one that I have here cost a full $9 in tax, but if you have Amazon Prime, then there's no shipping. The one that I showed you on the right here, actually costs $75. To be honest, this is not so much about the quality that it's not about the quality that you're going to hear. And I hear very well with a $9 plus tax, free shipping, IFB headset. It's great because if you are hearing your audience through a headphone, there is not going to be echo, not from your computer. Now, if your entire audience, by the way, is muted, that's not going to be an issue because they're not going to say anything that's going to be projected back into your computer. This is my setup. This might actually be a good time to say, hi, I've put a second camera and, or maybe we'll just let the camera, I told you that we're going to have technical issues. This camera has a timeout. And this is my setup. And I just wanted you to get the sense of what it looks like. This is where my microphone is, DSLR camera. Sometimes I have a second camera. This senses where my head is for my game. So don't worry about it. 3 screens. I use 3 screens. You don't necessarily need 3 screens, but it helps me. I have some stuff. Then my next slide, my OBS is here. This is my Zoom screen, and this is my presentation screen. Hello, I'm back. Okay, so next, this is an example of how I use it, and I'll get back to what I had there over there. I am sitting down right now, as you could have seen from the previous video. I'm sitting down, and when I speak, right now we're doing something that's highly technical, so I'm going to click a lot on the keyboard and do a lot of things. But when I speak in front of an audience, I prefer to stand. And if I prefer to stand, then I would rather have something like this, have a table, a riser table, and that's what I have here. I actually just replaced it with an electric one. I had a manual one. The one that you're seeing in the picture, this is my new one, $169, $170. And now it's electric and I can rise it because when I'm in front of the audience, I'm a lot more energetic and a lot more engaging when I stand up. Right now, again, because we're doing this and I'm going to click a lot, then I'm not doing it. I'm not using it. Okay, one more thing. Do you see the reflection in my glasses? Yes, you do. Why? Because I did not get my anti-reflective coating on these glasses, and I don't have the other glasses here. But I ordered one, and it is great to have them. So you need to worry about the reflection of the light or the reflection, in this case, of the screen. And by the way, if I just lowered my head or did not use my my glasses at all because one of my eyes sees very well without glasses, the other doesn't. Long story, military service, but I'm not going to get into that. Glasses. I'm going to talk about green screens now. And so several things to know about green screens. First, you don't have to use them if your preferred presentation is have a natural background behind you. I don't have a natural background, and the type of content that I have does require me typically to have something in the background. I like to be part of the slide, so I would often do something like this, which, by the way, makes me want to have all the text, all the content on one side, and leave an area on the screen, on the slides behind me that's free, so that I don't, like now, block my content. But I can always do something like this. So if you prefer to have natural background, you know, you heard the recommendations, don't use a library, it's too busy or what have you. One good thing about a DSLR or a camcorder used as your camera is that they have what's called the field of depth of field. And so things that are behind you, if they're a little far behind you, are going to be a little blurred. So that's actually a good look. But this is up to you. Everything you see here, the only thing that the green screen gives me is the ability to put this map of the world behind me that you see here. But that's it. If you don't have it, if you're using natural background, you can still do everything that I'm showing you here. But if you do want to use green screen, how do you eliminate what's behind you? So the worst way to do that is, and I have noticed that there are a few of you doing that. Don't feel bad. I'm just telling you technically the worst way is using the Zoom virtual background without green screen. So you don't have a green screen, but you're letting Zoom be smart enough to replace your background. Well, Zoom is not smart enough, and we're limited by the computing power of your, you know what, I'm gonna click, I don't know if we have a chat here that's running or not. Let me go to the chat so that I can open it. And now I can see a few things, and I can't guarantee that I'm going to see all of your comments. So Peggy or Diana or anyone, if you see a comment that you want me to stop, just let me know. Just go on and tell me that there is a question. Okay, so back. Worst thing you can do is let Zoom try and replace whatever background. A better thing is to put a green screen behind you and tell Zoom that you have a green screen. And I'm going to show you that in a second. I'm going to show you how I do that. The third thing is, you know what, how about if we, no, we'll do that later. The third thing is that you not just tell Zoom that, you know what, I am going to bring, no, I won't play with that. That's a guaranteed messing up the presentation now. So the third thing you can do is not just tell Zoom that you want to replace the green background, but you can actually pick the color that Zoom is going to use to replace the green. And there are a few parameters, and I'm going to show you the OBS parameters for that. And I'm actually going to show you how I do that as well. Now we're going a level up. OBS is an order of magnitude better. So this is why I put OBS right here in the yellow. OBS's ability to remove green screen is an order of magnitude better than Zoom's ability to do that. So if you wanted green screen, you wanted to replace that, and the only reason you have OBS is just to do that replacement, it's still worth it. The best way to eliminate green screen is by actually having video editing software, but that's something that you do offline. This is not something that you do in a live call. Okay, let me move on. And actually what I'm going to do is now I'm going to bring the Zoom screen, the real Zoom screen, and I'm going to do something live for you, okay? So this is the Zoom screen, and what I want to show you is I want to show you the camera. This is what I have as a camera right now. And we're going to double click on it. This is what the camera sees. Now the camera actually has, you can see the gray here, the camera actually has filters on it. And the filters that I've put are color correction and chroma key. I'm going to show you how to add those as I go into OBS. What I wanted to show you is that there are different parameters that you're going to use to eliminate the green screen. If I kill the chroma key, that's it. This is my green screen. You're seeing my green screen, and you can see that it's not perfect. But the parameters that I'm using here, similarity, how similar is it to the green that we selected? How smooth would the transition be? How much of a spill do we want to let? And what am I missing? Okay, the opacity and everything else is irrelevant. You can see from what I'm doing here that I'm doing a pretty darn good job. Now, if I'm going to start moving the similarity, see what happens? It says, well, we want it to be more similar. And so I have to play. Now, if I go all the way to the other end, it's going to say, well, your face is similar enough to the green. So you have to find the right place, the exact right place that would give you the best elimination of the green screen. As I said before, that is one of the reasons why you want to have, and I'm going to take that screen away. This is one of the reasons why you want to have OBS, to eliminate green screen. Different types of green screen. The screen that I have right now is really just a piece of cloth. I mean, it's really not a lot more than a, bed sheeting. And I probably did not say this right? This is my Israeli accent. There are pop-up green screens. Now, this is interesting. You see that it has green on one side and blue on the other side? You don't have to eliminate green screen. You can eliminate blue screen if you would like. And there are times when you would want to do that because, maybe you're wearing something that's green and you go, well, then what I'm going to do is, it's bed sheeting with 2 E's and not the way it sounded for me. It sounded like an I instead, and I stopped doing that long time ago. This is the Elgato one. I think this is like $100 and something, $200. It's a folding green screen, and it's pretty smooth. If I had to do it again today, what I would do is actually buy background paper, number 46. The store that I love buying from is B&H B&H Photography. I have their logo in one of the next slides. And it's like $50 something. It's paper. And if you don't wrinkle it, it's not wrinkled. It's the smoothest thing that you can have for a green screen. There is an app for a phone. I told you I'm going to run through things very quickly. And this is what B&H Photo. Yes, thank you very much, Marquesa. Did you ever visit that store? This is like Disneyland for me.
Yeah, it's cool.
I know.
Great at delivering.
So this is an app, and this app is called Green Screener. It's a $10 app, and what it does is this is actually showing you me looking at a screen, at a green screen, and it tells you how uniformly is the green screen lit. Now, I was talking to someone this morning, and we were talking about green screen, and he asked me, how many lights do you have on the green screen? Well, let's see. I'm going to go back to my camera, and I'm going to bring it here because I want you to see what I'm doing. I'm going to go back to my camera. We are in main, D3500. I'm going to filters. I'm eliminating chroma key. How many lights do I have here? None. I have no lights on my green screen. You don't have to have lights. What you have to have is you have to have something that is uniformly lit. So, and an app like Green Screener helps you do that. Okay, go away. This is scary doing all this stuff live for you. So I promise I'll never do this again. In fact, we're going to stop right now. I'm done. Okay, move on. I told you that I'm going to show you, and it's a little hard to show you things on Zoom while you are on that Zoom call. So what I'm showing you here is this is what it looks like. Okay, so when you go to choose virtual background in Zoom, you can say none, or you can click on I have green screen. Click on I have green screen, and then click on this. There is a little window here with green. And if you click on it, it's going to give you this cursor and allow you to pick green screen on the screen, on the picture. And you're going to say, you know what, this looks like the area that is kind of the average of green that I have on this screen. And that's it. You pick this one up and you helped Zoom do the best it can. And then it's going to show you this is the green that we chose. I'm pretty much done with the hardware. I just want to show you, this is a list of hardware that I use. Now, if you look down here and you go, oh, really, $730 for the basic, $500 off of it is just the laptop. This is a mid-range computer, maybe even low-end computer. I did that. I do that even with my wife's computer, which is a $500 computer. It runs OBS and it runs OBS well. It doesn't do everything that I do here, down here, but it runs it well enough. So you can start with almost whatever laptop that you have. I'm sorry, I'm not an Apple person, and I can't answer a lot of Apple questions in this context. So, good USB microphone, I would say reasonable. You can get something for about $100. An HD webcam like the C920, good enough for $60. Green screen, the one that I have here is probably not even $20. Actually, I wonder if I can sell it used. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna sell a used green screen. That's gonna be cool. Lights. Well, in this room, all I have is I have the main lights, the room lights, and I replace them with LED light bulbs at 5000 K color temperature. My IFB earpiece, I really think that you need to have this, because if you do have an audience and they are going to speak, you don't want your computer to be the one introducing echo. So I would have this. But again, you know, it's $10. It's $8.95. OBS software, priceless, which really means free. It's free. So other than your laptop, all you see in a basic one is 230. Now, a more advanced one, I'm going to call it semi-pro. A more advanced one, we're talking 2375. Well, actually, it's more than 2375. It's 2800. I forgot to add the last two things because I added the monitors and the docking station, because you do want to have multiple monitors. And so I threw them in there. And you're talking about a total of $1,600 beyond. Now we're talking a $1,200 laptop. If you're going to do a lot of stuff, I mean, what you see in this image right now in front of you, think about this. You're seeing me, so you're seeing a camera coming in. By the way, there's a second camera that you saw before. Hello, second camera. Do you see behind me? I mean, behind the entire screen, it's a video. It's a video loop behind me. By the way, if you look at this logo right underneath here, every 3 seconds you see that bright light going. That's a video too. So there is a lot of stuff that is, you know, the computer is required to handle. And so if you want to go that heavy, you will need a gaming computer. By the way, it looks like Melanie Murphy had just joined us, and since Melanie has joined us, I promised her that we're going to start from the beginning again. So let's start at the beginning. No, we're not. I'm done with hardware. How about if we open to a few questions? Jerry, you want to know about Stream Deck? I will touch on that. ATEM, I will touch on that as well. I will only touch on it as one of the alternatives. But are there any questions? What paper number is? And you see, this is why it's so important that this session is recorded. The paper number is what? 46. Tech Green. Oh, come on,
I have a question.
Yes.
I did the thing you talked about, choosing a second camera by going to advanced when you share your screen.
Yes.
I did that, and it popped up like yours did the first time. It popped up my camera on my MacBook instead of my camcorder. I didn't know how to switch it. So once it does that, how do you switch the camera?
Top left. Absolute top left. I think I did it a little too quickly. In the absolute top left, it's I think it either says switch camera or switch source. You click on it until you get the camera that you wanted.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Any other questions? What's a docking station? Is that the Stream Deck? No, it's not. A docking station, you know, if you remember, the laptops used to have like this little thing that you would put, how about if I take the entire screen? I own it. So if you remember laptops, you used to put them on this device, and it had a connector, and then all the accessories would plug into it. Docking stations are pretty much like it today, except the PC doesn't go on them. They connect to your computer. My docking station here, which is about $150, it gets USB from the laptop. It gets USB-C from the laptop, which is important. So you want a laptop with USB-C. And then I have 2 extra HDMI monitors or output to monitors, 6 additional USB ports, Ethernet. I actually get Ethernet through this box and not directly into my laptop. What else do I have? I have audio. So it's like an extension because there are not a lot of connectors on the computer itself. is this box an ATEM? ATEM is something else, and I'll touch on it when we get close to the end. Close to the end of OBS, because I'm going to talk about a few alternatives to OBS. What is the fix to the lag? Okay, your sound is ahead of my video. Okay, so here is what we're going to do. First, we're going to find where... There. Nope, this is... Where is my screen? See, one of the problems when you are using... Oh, there it is. One of the problems when you're using multiple screens with Zoom starts moving things around and you don't know where they are. So I'm going to choose different video. And I'm going to choose different audio. And who was it that said that I was off? I'm a little delayed. Chris Price, how are we doing now?
Oh, we can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's one more little...
You did choose a different audio.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. There was one piece of software here that I did not make sure would work first. So I'm going to get it to operate here in just 1 second. And this is a piece of software that we will talk about as well. So don't worry. Stay with me. And at this point, I will switch to another audio source. How are we doing now on audio? Is it any better? Yes. And I will show you what I did, but we'll get there later. Any other questions or we can move? Most used line in 2016, you're still muted. No, actually, most used line in 2019 is, can you see my screen now? The second one is, you're still muted. Anything else? Subliminal audio. Who said that?
Hey, Yoram.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, this is Kelly B. Are you going to talk about audio if you're recording on Zoom? Example, I wanted to try to do something with my sister, like a duet kind of thing. But the same thing if you have somebody talking, and you want to make sure that's all getting recorded, and there's this little blue square in the top of your Zoom that says turn on or turn off original sound, and I thought that might have something to do with it, to make sure we pick up their audio and we don't cancel each other out. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, but I have never seen it before.
Oh, so you have no issue with it shutting down one mic when one mic is open?
No,
Okay.
I don't know. And also, I don't do duets with my sister.
Do you have a sister?
I do have a sister, but I don't do duets with her. So this is something that we agreed on very early on in our relationship. Well, actually, right after she was born. Okay, the best way to connect the lavalier if I want to be more mobile when standing. It depends on whether you have a hardware lavalier or a hardwired lavalier or a wireless lavalier. If it's a wireless lavalier, it just depends on what you have there on the output. Now, something that I did, and I want to show you, well, I'm going to get to it. I have NDI as something that I'll talk about, so I'm not going to get ahead of myself. So with that, let me move on. And okay, I already showed you that. So actually, Chris Bianes, this is for you. You asked about that. So when you do share, here is one interesting thing. What you're seeing me now through my shared screen. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Now you don't see me there. And what I do is I go to the share screen. And first of all, in the bottom, I do share sound. If I have it as an option optimized for video clip, and then I do share. On the top left, there is a switch camera button that allows you to scroll. I wish it was just to select, but it's not. It allows me to scroll until I find, and as you can see, I have quite a few inputs here until it lets me find the input that I provided. So the way you do that is you click advanced here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You click advanced here, okay? When you after you click share in Zoom, advanced, connect input from second camera, and it actually lets you connect the same camera. It doesn't have to be a second camera. Make sure that you check optimize for video clip and share computer sound. And the next thing you know is you are sharing whatever it decided is the next one. This is the button in the top left. So Chris, be honest, that's for you. Top left, switch camera, and you switch until you find the right one. Okay. One more thing that I want you to see is when you go into Zoom, and this is some Zoom functionality. When you go into Zoom, click on your profile and then click on settings. There are a lot of settings in Zoom, and with every new version there are more settings and more things, so it's hard for me to tell you exactly what to use at any point, because again there are more things that come up. But one of the things that I wanted you to see is on share screen. See this little one? Share all windows from application. See, if you're sharing a screen, you can share a display. You can say, you know, I have here 3 displays. Let me show you. I have here 3 displays. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. And when I do that, I can, whatever is on that screen is going to be shared. But sometimes what you like to do is share a window, a specific application window. Not a display, but a window. The problem is, for some reason, the default for Zoom is if you open a window under a window. So if, for example, we're going to bring down the OBS screen here, and I'm going to open another window. See this new window that opened now? Zoom will not share it unless what you did is checked this box. Check this button. So I know it's kind of a small thing with a significant impact on your presentation. I'm going to skip a few things, and I'm going to go to OBS. So before I go into OBS, can I go back? Jill, can I go back to the screen with the 2 down arrows? There are 2 down arrows here. Is this the screen? Jill, unmute yourself. I will be able to hear you. And you can use the Minnesota.
I'm having technical issues. My video's not working. I had a presentation earlier. Yeah, this is the one. I was trying to grab a screen grab and you moved too quick and I couldn't get it. So
that is why we're recording this. You will be able to go back. One thing that I'm going to try and do is after the recording, I'm going to look at the recording and send you a list of, you know, the timeline of this recording. Okay, let me move.
Good.
Yes, Peggy.
No, I said that's good that you're going to give us some time recording information.
Okay, sounds
That way
good.
we don't have to watch the whole thing again.
Let's move on to OBS. So here's what I'm going to talk about when I talk about OBS. I have to tell you how this whole thing started, and it started, I think, a couple of years ago when, I'm teaching at SMU, and I used to do a lot of things remote before that, before the pandemic ever started. And one day somebody was showing me something. They were trying to sell me on this tool that they thought I needed to teach with. And he was doing something, and I was looking at it, and I'm pretty technical, and very quickly I said, okay, what exactly are you using here? Because you're doing a few unnatural things that I never saw done before. And he said, oh, I'm using OBS. And thinking, what is OBS? That was my first exposure to OBS. Ever since then, I fell in love with that. Again, I'm going to tell you that you have to, if these are things that you're going to use, there are levels in OBS that you can use that you know are easier, that you're going to feel more comfortable. Grow with it. There are things that you know even I don't know how to do on OBS, but mainly because I didn't get to them yet. Start with the basics. It's really a great tool. Okay, so we're going to talk about installation scenes. Let's start with talking about installation. And before we talk about installations, maybe what I'll do is show you what OBS is or where does it fit. This in yellow is your computer. Your computer has a disk and it has Zoom running on it. And up until now, what you did is you got the microphone going into Zoom and you had your camera actually going into Zoom. And from Zoom, it went to the cloud and the other people. OBS comes in between them. Now, I'm showing the microphone going directly to Zoom, but I would actually show you today also how the microphone can go through OBS into Zoom. And this, by the way, Bruce, is how I fixed that that gap that you had between my voice, my sound, and my visual. And I'll show you how to do that. So OBS fits in between them. OBS takes your camera, it does take your microphone, it manipulates them, like eliminating green screen and doing other things, like what you're seeing here. You're seeing two screens. And you're seeing the video in the background, and you're seeing this little flashy logo. Okay, it takes a while to figure out where your fingers need to be, but this flashy logo and all of this, and the live up there in the top, this thing that just disappeared and came back. These are things that OBS allows you to do. So this is why you put OBS between your camera and your microphone and Zoom. The disk is, I've put the disk here. You know, you can save from Zoom. I always save, if I'm doing an OBS, if I'm using OBS, which I do in my presentation, I will do the recording from OBS. Let me bring OBS down here again. And what you will see is this is OBS, and I'll leave it here in a while so that you can see how to use it. And see this stop recording? I'm not going to press stop recording because then I'm not going to have the recording, and I want to have my own recording of this session just in case Peggy's Zoom recording or Bruce's Zoom recording doesn't work out that great. I'm going to skip one slide and go into scenes. So let's understand how OBS works. There is a hierarchy here. On top of the hierarchy is the profile. Okay? The profile is, you can have multiple profiles. If I will bring OBS back down here again, you can see on scene collection that, no, I'm sorry, I have profile here. Any idea why why it's grayed out and it's not letting me change my profile? I'm going to give you a hint. What does OBS stand for? How do I know what OBS stands for? It's O. It's OBS. It is Open Broadcasting Software. It's open because people keep adding things to it, which is one of the greatest things. It's broadcasting because it's software that's used to broadcast, and it's software because it's software. Okay, so why is it not letting me change profile? You know why? Because we are running right now. There's a little, don't change profiles right now. It will let me change a collection of scenes, which I'm not going to do. And then in every scene, we have sources. So this is essentially how things are how things are organized in OBS. You have your profile and you can change different profiles. I've never had to change a profile really, but you can change a scene collection. So you can create a scene collection that would be great for a workshop, a scene collection that would be great for something else, just so that you don't have all the scenes all together. Now, whenever I make these changes, this is scene number 1 for me. This is scene number 2. This is scene number 3. Did you like this transition? Whoop, I'm going one side. And then whoop, I'm going to the other side. Okay, I don't think that what I'm drinking is water. I think it's vodka. Anyway, so I have all these scenes, including a scene that's coming from another camera. And that's really the best way to switch between scenes while you are broadcasting. You don't want to start adding elements. And under a scene are the different sources. So I'm going to once again bring this down for a second. And what I'm showing you here is that these are my scenes. Remember, I told you that I have 8 scenes and a couple more. Every scene, so if we are currently, you can see that we're currently on the Dual 2 screen scene. And in this scene, I have sources. Okay, so the lower level that we have here is sources. What are the type of sources that I have? I have my back. We can eliminate that. I have the camera. We can eliminate that. I have the display window, which is really this. This is kind of my overlay. I have a dual technology. This is what you're seeing in the background that's moving. This one is off. This is the yoramsolomon.com that you see in the bottom. I can eliminate that. That's one of the cool things about it. So I've set up this scene, and the scene has different components. And oh, by the way, I have the microphone. I have this little logo video that's right underneath me here. I shut it down. And I have this live that's on the top left corner. I can eliminate it from here. So you don't necessarily want to play with those scenes coming in and going out while you're shooting this. So you want to prepare a few scenes in advance. Let's take this to another screen. And why are we skipping 2 slides? Okay. You know how I did this? This is how I did it. I created an image. Okay, this is the image that you see in the screen. I'm actually going to let it take the entire screen. I created this image. How hard is it to create? Not very hard. I took a picture of a phone, a picture of a screen, and I've put 2 green rectangles on top of it. You know, typically, when you hear, when you see people include their slides in, what they would typically do is have a certain, you know, here's my camera and my slide comes on top. I actually made it the other way around. My slides are in the bottom. So what I did was I created those green rectangles, and then, let me go back. This would be the best. Then what I did, let me bring OBS back. See this thing here? No, I'm sorry. It is, oh, we're going to have to go to another scene. Okay, it's going to be a little tricky here, but what I did was on this screen, this is the image that you're seeing right now behind the OBS screen. And on filters, I have a chroma key filter and I eliminated the green. And because of that, it created holes through which you can see my camera and you can see the other screen. Okay? Does that make sense? Well, it does because it's working, but and it takes a while to catch what exactly does it mean. Let me move the OBS screen again away. Let's see how we're doing on time. We're doing good on time, so I will continue. Again, watch the rerun. Okay, replay the video if you want to do this and see what I did, because if we're just going to focus on doing this one thing, I'm not going to be able to show you everything that's possible. Okay, transitions. You have noticed, for example, that it's not that you get one screen all of a sudden and it doesn't happen in one shot. You can see that I'm actually moving. Let me bring this back down here. See, right here, and you know, the best way to maybe show you this is to do something that's called studio mode. Okay? I'm going to take myself out, and now, this is creepy. Isn't it creepy? Okay, Yoram, tell people you can change scenes with your mouse or your switcher or your PPT remote clicker too. But you already told them. I mean, this was to everyone. You said it to everyone. It's like, okay, my sound is really off. Well, that's something that happens. So how about this? I'm going to go back and I'm going to be a little off, but I'm not going to be too bad. We're going to go back to choosing my regular microphone, and we're going to go back to choosing virtual camera. I know that I'm a little off now, but OBS is up. 1 second. Meeting controls are up. And this is my Zoom screen. Okay, I told you that we're going to have some technical issues, but the main reason we have technical issues is because I'm playing with the tool that I'm using to show you what I'm doing. And I'm pretty much right now bringing my laptop down to its knees, even though it's a good gaming computer. So don't worry about it. Select so you can fix the... What? Top right under view in Zoom, if you select swap video and shared screen, you will fix this audio.
Yeah, I'm not talking about you, but I'm talking about everyone else. I was having that audio delay, but if you go into the view in the top right where you can pick things like side by side, speaker, gallery, swap video and shared screen, and it brings your direct video as opposed to the shared, and there's no delay on the direct.
Okay, that's interesting. I wonder why the shared is now creating the delay. But yeah, so go ahead and do that. Make me the biggest speaker. I guess you went to speaker mode.
Well, I picked standard mode, and it makes you the only thing I see, but there's no delay. It really works well.
You're the only person that wants to see only me. I mean, not even my wife or daughters. They want to see other people.
Well, I didn't say that.
I feel that I went too far. Once again, this is probably not water. Okay.
Let's go back to bed sheeting, right?
Let's go back to yes. Okay. Anyway, when you transition from one scene to another, there are different ways to do that. Here's what's happening right now, and this is something that's called studio mode. In studio mode, you can decide what your next screen is going to be, what your next scene is going to be, and then you click on transition or choose a specific transition. Let me just move the zoom control. Zoom controls just went straight in the middle of my screen. And so I can use fade, and you will see that this is what happens when I... I'm trying to play in the Zoom screen. See, I have the same thing on 3 screens now. So if I click on transition, look at what's going to happen. It's a move transition. That's the last transition I had. I'm going to pick another scene, and I'm going to hit fade. I want you to notice that what happens to the screen. You notice what happened was fade. There is a fade to black, so I'm going to choose this screen again. No, this is the same one. I'm going to choose this one. We're going to do fade to black. And then we're going to bring that screen. So there is something that's called transitions. I'm going to get out of studio mode on the right screen. This is hard. This is hard. I'm telling you. You're seeing yourself on multiple screens doing the same thing. See, this is why this is not what I do. I talk about trust. Trust me. Anyway, so the transition from screen to screen, there can be different types of transition. The fade is a transition that comes with OBS naturally. There is one that I downloaded, and I'm going to talk about plugins for OBS. That's the cool thing about the O in OBS. It's an open system, and there are a lot of developers who develop things for OBS. So for example, that transition that I called move, if I'm going to go back into studio mode, you see that one of them is move. Move allows me, here I'm going to go back to this mode. When I hit move, I move on the screen. And right now, this is kind of the default that I'm using. So you will notice that I'm moving on the screen as opposed to just fading in and fading out. This is something for you to choose. It's a plugin. Okay, what else did I want to show you? I wanted to show you studio mode. I just showed you studio mode. The cool thing about studio mode is that with the exception that, you know, if you're using Stream Deck, it's a little, well, it does work. You have the program. If you're in broadcasting, you will know that you have the program window, the program screen. This is what's being broadcasted right now. And you have preview. Preview is the next thing that's going to be broadcasted as soon as I hit any of the transition keys. I typically don't use that. What I do is I just use the regular mode, and I just transition because I already programmed what the transitions are. So I just move from one screen to another, one scene to another scene, and the like. I'm going to show you one more thing. I'm going to show you something that is called, if I go up here to view, okay? Under view, there's something that's called multi-view. So full screen. And I'm going to choose one of the three monitors that I have here. I'm actually going to choose this one. This is my top one. And I'm going to freak you out a little. You ready? This is what I see in my top right screen. No? Yes. This is what I see in my top right screen. I know, right? So this is the preview. This is what's being broadcasted right now. These are the 8 scenes that I have that I can choose from. This is the point in time where I go, I went too far.
If you stay there, we can get you some psychological help immediately.
I think I'm past that. Too much information, Kelly. Yes, it is. I told you it's going to be too much information. Now, I want to just make a little comment. Every now and then you will notice me do this. Now, no, it's not that I'm trying to get closer to you. What it is that some DSLR cameras have a timer on how long they will stay in live mode. This camera has 30 minutes. So after 30 minutes, it will shut down. Now, I'm going to turn it on immediately, and it's just a few seconds, but I don't want you to lose me for even 1 second. So I'm not going to wait 30 seconds. Every 20 seconds or so, I just hit the button and make sure that the camera stays on. Okay. Yes, Chris, it's like the old shampoo commercial, and I told 2 friends, and she told 2 friends, and that's what that screen looks like. Again, it's a matter of how comfortable are you with using a feature like that. Okay, let's move on. Plugins. I mentioned plugins. There are different plugins that you can add to OBS. I'm going to just show you a short list. I'm trying to see that we're still on time. I'm going to show you a short list of these are the plugins that are like the top. I mean, that everybody you're going to ask about Zoom. I'm sorry. I'm still at the wrong screen. You want to see this screen. These are the top plugins, okay? First of all, some of the plugins are in the OBS project website. Some of them, and you know what, maybe what I'll do is I will just open another window for you to see what the OBS website looks like. So I will open a window somewhere. A window had just opened, and I'm going to bring it here. And we're going to go to OBS project. That's the website for OBS. Open Broadcaster Software. This is where it is. And you just download. It does work on Mac, but not all the features work. So that's something to keep in mind. So all you do is you just, go to click on whatever link they're going to give you. And the latest version is 26.1.1. Actually, it looks like Apple has a newer version. Another thing is OBS plugins. And if you click on OBS plugins, you're going to see it's still under the OBS project, but it's under forum, so it's kind of a long link. These are all the plugins that are available here. Some of them are classic, some of them not so classic. There are quite a few of them. And typically what I would do is just look at which ones have high ratings and a high number of downloads. And if it has high number of downloads, it's probably a good plugin to have. Again, if I feel that I need that plugin. Most of them are free. Some of them are paid. And let's see if somewhere here I have, I want to show you one of the plugins. This is a plugin that allows me to do echo. I'm not using it now. I'm actually still playing with it. I'm going to bring in another plugin. This is a plugin that allows me to equalize my sound. So for example, if I would reduce these, do I sound kind of weird now? Yes? No? Well, Peggy, to you I always sound... Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm not using NDI right now, so I'm not going to sound... NDI would only allow this to take effect. I went ahead of myself again. There are plugins that are free. There are plugins that are paid. There are actually companies and people that make OBS plugins with some very, very cool features. Some of them can be in the hundreds of dollars. I haven't paid for any plugin yet. NDI. NDI is actually something that I'm going to show you in a few minutes, and so let's not talk about this right now. VST Real Plugs. VST Real Plugs is a plugin that applies to the microphone. So if I go to the microphone, this is my Yeti microphone as a source, and I go to filters, you can see that I've set up the equalizer. There is a set of plugins that I can install here that will provide me equalizer, noise reduction, all kinds of things. Those are just plugins that you can add and enhance what you do on OBS. What else do we have? We have OBS WebSocket. This is something cool. Do you remember Zach, the person that we brought in as a sponsor? Betty, I think you brought him in as a sponsor. And Zach and I actually had a talk yesterday, and I'm helping him with some of those tools. I offered him, why don't you offer a service, OBS WebSocket? You want to hear something cool? Is the ability to control your OBS software from another computer over the internet remotely. So if I had OBS installed in your computer, I can control it remotely. Think of me as your producer. You know, the producer who's in the other room, except I can be on the other side of the world. So I told Zach, why don't you offer that service to people? You know, install OBS and then you be their producer. So he got excited, and we'll talk more about that. Closed captions. Closed captions, it's a great tool. We don't have enough time to go over it and how I use it and how do I do that. My hope was that I'm actually going to show you how to do that, how to use it. It's going to take about 10 minutes to go through all the steps. And I did create a video. Remember that I have this Tech Tips for Speakers video playlist on YouTube. There is a video on that step by step, and so I would refer you to that. But it's one of the coolest things because it's live closed captioning. It allows you to close caption. It's live and it's automatic. It's using Google's artificial intelligence cloud closed captioning tool, and it just works, and it works great. And somebody asked me once, it actually, since it's using my microphone here as an input, I can determine what the input is. It was hearing the other person through the speakers and transcribing that into closed captioning as well. It's really very cool. Have you run this in GoToMeeting webinar? Ben, this runs on everything because from Zoom's perspective, it's just a camera. What comes out of OBS is just a camera. I used it on Teams. I used it on Google Meet. I used it, I don't remember doing GoToMeeting recently, but I probably have. I used it on, pardon my language, on freaking Facebook Messenger video. It's just a camera from those
I
two.
used it on Hopin recently. Hopin.
Okay.
Yes, no, we don't mention that.
Okay. So,
I don't have. Anyway, move transitions. I talk about that. There is another cool tool, and that is a transition override matrix. I mean, this is if you're not in overdrive right now. If I showed you what the transition override matrix is, it is going to put you in override. You can have different transitions between every two scenes, and sometimes you do want to do that. I'm about to switch to talk about Stream Deck, so I'm going to pause for a second and see if there are any questions. I can tell right now that we're still going to be good. We're going to be good. So, are there any questions before I move on to talk about some of those other things? You all drinking now, aren't you? You are.
I wish.
Well, you can. I'm not stopping. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to move on. Stream Deck. What is Stream Deck? Stream Deck is this little box. There is a question. I'd like to transition 3 to 6 times per hour. I'm dong many all-day training. I'm gonna guess there is a typo there that wasn't caught by your computer, and you're probably doing many all-day training 3 to 6 times. To me, it just depends. It depends on what do I do, who do I do it to, what is the time. I mean, right now in this kind of training, I'm doing probably 3 to 6 transitions per minute. Okay, Stream Deck. What is Stream Deck? Yes, I figured you were referred to doing. What is Stream Deck? Stream Deck is this little, tool. And what it is, is a keyboard. It's a programmable keyboard. And what I want to show you now is I want to show you what the screen looks like here. Okay? So this is exactly what it looks like. You can see that what you see here on the screen is exactly what you see in my computer screen. And what it does is every key can control a function. You can use it with PowerPoint. The nice thing about using it with OBS, with the keyboard, when you type a key on the keyboard, that key would operate on the active screen, whatever is your active window. If PowerPoint is your active window, that's what it's going to operate on. By the way, the same applies to a remote clicker. You know how it is that a remote clicker sometimes doesn't operate, and that's because your computer decided that another window is the active window? That's why. What's cool about Stream Deck is that it actually comes into OBS as a plugin, and because it's a plugin, it can penetrate all the layers of active windows and activate OBS. And that's really cool. Now, what you see here are keys that I programmed. I programmed these keys. And for example, this one, if I look at what this key is, this key would take me to the regular scene collection to scene number 1. That's it. By the way, I actually created these icons here. You know what I used to create these icons? Pardon my language, freaking PowerPoint. I just used PowerPoint. I did a square, and in the square I drew a few things, and just knowing that the resolution is not very high, it's 144 by 144 pixels, I drew those myself because you can see the buttons that I designed here. They make sense to me as to what this scene is. I don't need to remember what scene number 4 is. I know that scene number 4 is side by side. I know that scene number 3 is this. I know that scene number 2 is this. I know that scene number 7 is the one that has the phone incorporated. So I created those, and pressing one of them would switch scenes. See this one here? This is my record button. I press this one and it records. I press it again and it stops recording. So you have this ability. By the way, and I'm not going to go too deep into Stream Deck, you can extend this 15 key box by pressing this. I actually created files. I use one for OBS, the other one I use for my digital combat simulator. But right now we're using OBS one, so I'm clicking on that. Again, not going too deep into that. What Stream Deck is this little keyboard that has programmable functionality, but the cool thing about it compared to a keyboard with hotkeys is that it allows you to penetrate and get to OBS even if OBS is not the active screen, what a regular keyboard would not let you do. Betty, you are reminding us that Zach was, yes, he was the sponsor, and he's a great guy. And by the way, you know, we were talking yesterday, Zach and I, and he didn't remember that he worked with you and me when you did the Power Up podcast.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, he was with Jeff at the time. Okay. Let me close this screen, and you want to know something cool? So first of all, what you saw is like, I think this is the 199 version of it or 149 version of it that has 15 buttons. Enough for me, especially since you can layer them and have multiple like profiles. There's a 6-button version of it. There's a 32-button version of it, and there is a mobile version of it. You can actually control it with your phone. The difference is these guys, the hardware guys, you buy them once and you have them, you own them. The mobile one is like $2.99 a month. So you have to actually pay for them on a monthly basis. As I said, this is a PowerPoint slide. This is how I created them and nothing much to it. I mentioned that you can use this to even control PowerPoint. I don't do that much because to me, for the most part, all I do with PowerPoint is move forward or back. But this is an example of I programmed a couple of keys to control PowerPoint. You can even control it to get to a specific slide. You can program a button that will take you to a specific slide. Slide number 153 here in this example. This is another cool thing that you should know. And if you don't see it well, how about if we take the entire screen? This is the list of shortcuts for PowerPoint. You probably didn't know some of them, but there are certain combinations that you can have. And by the way, with Stream Deck, you can program a button to emulate multiple operations. So for example, if getting to a specific slide you do by, where is it? Slide number plus enter. So 1-5 enter. So if I clicked 1-5 enter on my keyboard right now, with PowerPoint being the active button, then I am going to go straight to slide 15. You can program a Stream Deck button to do 1-5 enter. 3 things in a row. Okay, let's move on. NDI. What is NDI? So this, I'm kind of going to go back. Remember, we had Zoom, we have a microphone, we have the camera goes into Zoom, the microphone goes into Zoom, and you got your Zoom meeting. Then we added OBS, and the microphone went into OBS to some audio processing that, while got incorporated in the recording, does actually not go out to Zoom, not naturally. Camera goes into video processing, and then it goes to Zoom. If you add something that's called NDI and you add it twice, and there's a video on exactly how to do that. I don't want to spend too much of our time here today in going through the details. As I said, for the most part, I want to show you what's possible. Then there is a plugin that goes into OBS, and OBS puts an output into NDI. NDI takes it, and NDI is a software by a company called NewTek, free. It's by a company called NewTek, and it passes both video and audio over either Ethernet or Internet. And that is the way to get the microphone through OBS and into Zoom. Why is that important? Because that's the way you can control your delay, your audio delay. So, once again, you go to OBS, to the resources part, and you download the OBS NDI plugin. You install it. This is where you download it from. You install it. You go to ndi.tv, which is the NewTek website. This is where you get the tool inside of the PC. Go to the bottom. You're going to get this. You download this one. Again, I'm not going to go to detail. This is what the icon looks like. This is what it appears like in your system tray. And you're going to tell it that once the plugin is active on OBS, you're going to choose it. And you're going to choose video and make sure that you're at 1080p. You're going to make sure that your audio is loud enough. And my preference is plus 20 dB. And when you go into Zoom, you are going to choose NDI video and NDI audio as your inputs. Or you can do it the usual way while you are in a call. Remember why I'm getting close to the camera? So that it doesn't shut down. So I'm choosing NewTek NDI video as my video input, line from NewTek NDI as my microphone, and that's what you're hearing. And this is how I can play with making sure that I don't have a lip sync issue. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to just get OBS, the real OBS software down here. Come on, let go. There. And what I'm going to show you is that if you right click here under any of the audio signals, if you right click here, there is advanced audio properties, and one of those, see here's my Yeti microphone, is allowing me to offset audio relative to video. Can get kind of creepy, I mean, because it can get off by like 2 seconds. And when you go get off like 2 seconds, I mean, imagine sound being 2 seconds off of your video. Okay, I'll move on. I'll skip through that. I just explained that. Closed captioning, I mentioned that. Alternatives. Somebody asked about ATEM. ATEM is one alternative, and as an alternative, it is the difference between ATEM and OBS is really that OBS runs inside of your computer and takes all the cameras as USB inputs, cameras and microphones. ATEM takes all of your microphones and cameras as HDMI and microphone inputs, and then puts a USB out back into your computer. So on one hand, it takes off some of the processing from your computer. On the other hand, you are limited in what you do because it's kind of a closed system as opposed to OBS that's an open system. Rodecaster, that's kind of an audio mixer. Once again, I'm using the mixer that comes with OBS, that's part of OBS in software rather than hardware. It's a personal preference thing. Master class. Jill, are you offending me? No. Okay, master class.
No, it's just I tried to go back over it, but hit return instead. Oops.
No, I know. Don't worry. Okay.
Kind of like the sound Master Astor. I think Master Astor kind of sounds cool.
I know.
Really.
Here is one more thing to think about, and that is you can have multiple computers connected. So imagine, for example, if there is one computer that you use for PowerPoint, and this is, for example, what Jim is using, Jim Pensero. He's using one computer as his PowerPoint, and he gets this output into this little device that's called Camlink. And you know what? Camlink cost about $130, I think. I just, just to try something, I bought a device like this for $25. No brand, no nothing. It works. It takes an HDMI input at 1080p, 30 frames per second, puts it into USB, and well, the camera is the other camera is off. So don't worry about it. So you can take your PowerPoint laptop, plug it through this Camlink, HDMI in, USB out, into maybe your main big computer, your video editing computer that would run OBS, NDI, Zoom, and whatever else you want. You can even put another camera straight into this computer and then go through Zoom out to the cloud. One more comment before I'm going to open it to questions on this part, and before I wrap up with the other two parts that's going to be relatively quickly, and that is a checklist. So on the right is the checklist to land an F-18 on an aircraft carrier. You do want to make sure that the master arm is safe. By the way, very important, especially because you have a pretty short landing strip on an aircraft carrier. You want to make sure that your hook is down, because otherwise you're going to just skid off the aircraft carrier. You don't care about landing an F-18 on an aircraft carrier. What you do care about is a checklist for a virtual video call. And believe it or not, I do have this checklist on my wall here. You will notice that I actually start with restarting the computer. Things happen. Things happen on computers. Like you never see that before. Things happen. So I like to, before I go, especially, like when I do a full day workshop, just restart the computer. Restart it before you start. The lights, make sure that the lights are on. Text the family. I text the family, hey, I'm going on a call. So, don't just barge into the office because you need something. And no, I'm not cooking lunch now. Doorbell. The doorbell actually disconnected so they don't hear it. And so on and so forth. One of the most important ones is the start recording one. So make sure that you started the recording, because it's pretty annoying when you thought you're recording and you just forgot to do that. When I teach, I actually have a slide in my presentation that says start recording, just in case, right at the beginning, just in case. Create your own checklist. It's really, really, really helpful to not forget anything. Okay. Put caution tape across the door, Kelly. Kelly, you do not know my daughters. That does not stop them. Nothing. Okay, I'll move on. Any questions? So as I said, any questions before I move to the last two pieces? And the last two pieces are really short.
I have a question on ATM/Stream Deck, Yoram. This is Kelly.
Yes.
Are you saying that it's better to have either or? Because I am learning OBS. I have an ATM Mini, and it's my understanding that if I plug everything into the Mini, then each one of those HDMIs becomes a camera, quote unquote. But are you saying it's good to do either or it's good to combine the two?
Well, it's really up to you. It's a matter of how comfortable you are. It's a matter of how flexible do you want it to be. ATM has some functionality that you can use. I like OBS. OBS is a lot more open, and so all of a sudden now you're kind of stuck with so much you can do with the ATEM, than you can do with OBS. It's either or you can use both of them. It's really up to you. I mean, it's the same question or the same answer as if I want to use one computer or two computers. One computer for my PowerPoint, and then through this HDMI to USB, plug it into my main computer that runs OBS and Zoom. It's really a matter of preference. To me, I really wanted to buy ATEM, and the reason I wanted to buy it is because I like to have extra buttons. But that's, that's just weird, and because I'm a nerd. But
Norm, I got that. I got that ATEM when I was setting a Mini Pro. When I was setting up this thing with your help, by the way, and I found that when I understood how to use OBS, there really wasn't any functionality that I needed in that ATEM Pro, and I was afraid that there was to be another delay because it was going through another system, causing even more problems of that audio versus video alignment.
yeah,
So by the way, I've got one. I'm not using it. If anybody is interested to use ATEM Pro.
And
But
an
it
ATM
just-
Mini here is also available, I think.
Yeah, but only because it wasn't needed, because OBS gave such flexibility. It did more than what the button pushing did on the other.
So that's good.
By the way, I have a question, Yorm, about this. Would be, is this something that would using a panel like that be a better alternative so they wouldn't have to learn OBS?
I'm sorry, if what?
Can the ATEM Pro go directly into Zoom, or does it have to go through OBS?
Oh, no. You can go directly to Zoom. If you have ATEM, I mean, you don't need OBS, you don't need ATEM. But if you have ATEM, it comes into your computer as a camera. It comes in as a camera input. If you take that camera,
would that be a simpler solution of somebody that wasn't interested in tackling the learning curve that OBS requires?
first of all, there's a learning curve with ATEM as well. How do you do some of the things, because there are transitions there, there's picture in picture there, and so on. So you're going to learn it. If you want to do something like what I do here, if I'm trying to think, can you do it with ATEM Pro? You can, but you're going to have a source that provides, for example, the video that you see below, or the video, my logo video that's right here. How do I produce that into ATEM as opposed to they're already inside of my computer? So to me, I love the flexibility, and it's not like ATEM. By the way, Kelly, you said Mini, and Jim is saying Pro. It's Mini, and there's a Mini Pro. So that's who they are. But I wouldn't say that one replaces the other completely. I like OBS better because of the added functionality. If you're a little nervous about, not you, Jim, I know exactly what you know, but, I don't know exactly what you know. I know
No,
some
you
of
do
the
what
things
you
that you
do.
do. But,
You do on OBS, I guarantee that.
yeah.
I
But,
looked at some of your videos.
Hey, Yoram, everything you're doing right now is OBS, though, right?
no, just BS. This,
But if
this
everything-
entire thing is actually recorded. This is not me.
We'll edit that part out. But all the bells and whistles you're doing right now is OBS, right?
100%. Everything is
Yeah, and I'm
OBS.
thinking I don't really have to have that ATEM right now.
You don't. That's what Jim did. Jim had an ATM. He still does have an ATM, which, by the way, he is selling for a very reasonable price, and payments are available. But anyway,
Okay,
so
this is great news. This is great news.
he stopped
There is
using
one
it.
thing, though, Kelly, I think there is one thing that is in addition, though, is in fact one of the things that I picked up. I want to get one of those stream decks, because I have all of the OBS functionality basically that Norm has shown you, but because of that stream deck, he can program in more a variety where I can only have basically 4 different scenes of what I'm doing. He can move his around where he is ahead, moves
So,
around in different places.
See, right now we are on this scene,
Yep.
and we're actually going to remove the live. So I'm going to press this and see how the live disappeared. We're going to bring it back. How about my icon below, or not the icon, my website? I can bring this back. What screen would you like to have? Would you like to have the screen that we currently have, which is screen number 1, or would you like to have screen number 3 incorporated?
Extension of that, if I can say this, is I just got the little one, right? But I also
Aw, that's so cute.
on my iPad, and what I want to do on the iPad is have all those scenes, but a lot of sound effects. And so I'm learning how to put all those, all of them together. But The iPad, Jim, as you're talking about, that iPad will give. I mean, you can have literally 32 at minimum on that iPad thing. I paid, I think, $24 for that app. It's a Stream Deck app,
Yeah.
and it's like a separate panel in
Yep.
addition to the little one. So.
And I say the only thing better than one Stream Deck is to have two Stream Decks.
Oh my, wow.
Yeah, yeah. And it comes in handy.
You must be a very good.
And by the way,
Tech lady!
Chris, it really helps when you get somebody else to pay for it too.
Well, it would help, but the department doesn't pay for any of my equipment. I paid for all my own equipment.
Oh no, they just raised my property taxes. I know exactly why.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, good stuff. Great.
Anyway, any other questions before I move? The last two parts, I think I'm gonna spend like 5 minutes on each. Not even that.
Yoram, so I heard you say that you're using obviously OBS for 100% of all of these bells and whistles. You showed us about plugins, but I wasn't clear. Are you using plugins for any of this tonight?
Oh yes, I mean, let me bring this back down so you will see the.
Let me ask it a different way, because that was, you can really go off the deep end on plugins, and I was kind of curious. Is what percentage of what you're doing tonight is just pure OBS that you can do without even having to use a plugin?
Well, I get your question. The move transition, which again, you don't have to have the move transition. Move transition is really cool when, I go from here to here, for example, and then to here, and you see how it's moving. It's not just blacking out and blacking back in, or fading out and fading in. I use this as well. That transition is a plugin. NDI is a plugin, and I am using NDI. What other plugins? Let me
Your
again.
equalizer, you're doing it on audio.
I'm using the equalizer. That's right. I'm not using the echo. Let's see. I'm not using the cloud closed captions right now. I just want to show you what it looks like. Do you see that little screen here on the right, where it actually captures everything?
Does it capture when I'm saying things too, or only you?
Well, it got the only you.
Yeah.
But no, if I raised the speaker, try and say it again.
And so, Yoram, we're using OBS, right?
See,
Yeah.
it got that as well. So yeah, that's it's really powerful. It's very, very accurate. I was surprised to see how live closed captioning, how accurate it can be. And essentially the way I bring it in is, you know what? How about this? I'm going to show you anyway.
Can you try it with bed sheeting?
Yeah, you have to do it with bed sheeting, because otherwise, you just, I was going to say you just crap yourself, but probably shouldn't say this on air. Oops. Can't control my mouth. Okay, no, I'm not going to mess with that, because right now it's going to change some of my settings here, but when I need to use closed captioning, that's another plugin, Chris Price, for you. What else? What other plugins am I using right now? I don't think that I'm using anything actively. The automatic scene switcher, I'm not using it right now. Timers, scripts, and the I mentioned. The transition override matrix, I'm not using it right now. So no, that's it. That's pretty much. If I gave up the move transition that you saw me use before, then everything is just basic OBS. It's it's how you set up, and you can see it here, how you set up all of your scenes. And one comment that I will make here is that you can layer scenes, which has its own advantages. And this is what I'm doing here, because you can see these two, for example. These are scenes that I brought as sources into another scene. And there are reasons for that, which I'm not going to go into too deep right now. But it's an interesting combination.
That's kind of like if you want to bring the presentation behind that fourth wall and really kind of show them what's happening behind the scene, right?
Yeah, one kind of cool thing that I did was in one of those scenes, and again, I don't want to go to that scene because if I go to that scene, you're not going to see me and you're not going to hear me because that scene does not include a microphone. Okay, I'm going to close the closed captioning because it's really distracting, and as I said, I get distracted really easily.
Yo, on the closed caption, just one quick question. Because I noticed that there's a whole bunch. Does it save it or does it just go through it and then eliminate?
You know what? That's a terrible question. That's a terrible question because I really don't know. I really don't know. I'm guessing it does, and it's just a matter of let's find where it is. We're gonna go
So
to
then you
settings.
find where it is and you can use it as transcription.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Where's the setting window? Setting window. I just clicked it, and oh, it's right there. Man, I'm telling you this. When you use that's one of the disadvantages of using multiple screens, and that is that they really do move all around. Everything, every window moves all around. So these are the settings that it has. Transcripts, save transcripts. Karen, great question, and as it turns out, I knew the answer, and the answer was of course. Yeah, you can save them. You can save them. You know, one of the coolest things, you can even have text filtering. So if I said a certain word, you can ask it to replace it with another word. So it's kind of weird, you know, it's creepy stuff, but it is so cool. There are two different tools that you can use for that. This one is just the coolest. So Karen, I'm glad you asked because it made me check. Okay, I'm gonna guess that we can move on to the last two parts. Kelly, to your point, if you post a YouTube channel, you can also grab the transcription there too. I didn't find the YouTube transcription to be as good as this one, which is kind of weird because they're, you know, YouTube is actually Google, is owned by Google, it's made by Google, and so I wonder if they're just using different engines. This one just is just great. This one and Otter.ai, but anyway, I'll skip that. Okay, let me touch on two more things because Peggy was very gentle and very discreet in telling me that we have 15 minutes or, oh, I wasn't supposed to say that. Okay, Peggy didn't say anything.
5 minutes ago.
But it still says 15 minutes. I look at it now and it says 15 minutes. Okay, two last topics and we're done. Internet backup. Scary, right? Full day workshop, internet goes down. That can be a problem. So I decided at some point, first of all, what we're doing here, this Zoom thing, this remote presentation thing, I don't believe it's going away. I really don't believe it's going away. I don't think that there is a replacement to in-person keynotes and in-person workshops. And, you know, without naming my price, I can tell you that I am taking less for doing something virtually. This is my philosophy because when I'm there in person and you're all there in person and you can touch each other, not in an inappropriate way, you can do things and that I can't do remotely as much as I can control the technology. But I think that we're going to see more training and I think that we're going to see more things that we can do remotely. And if this is something that's going to stay, then you need to make sure that you are not locked out of internet. So what I do is I have this. I have two different service providers that use different infrastructures. And this is important because sometimes you may have two different providers that are using the same infrastructure. If the infrastructure is down, they're both down. So Frontier is using fiber, Spectrum is using cable. They're different. Modems, I have something that's called the load balancing router. Now, it does not immediately hand over if internet goes down, because you have two different IP addresses that are like your telephone number. So Zoom will all of a sudden say, hey, what's happening here? I don't get anything from the internet anymore. After 20 seconds, it's going it's going to find that there is a second path. So it's not going to be completely smooth, completely seamless, but 20 seconds is better than anything else. These are the two IP addresses that I have here specifically. Internet speed that you need for Zoom is actually not very high. The highest here that they list, this is coming straight from the Zoom website, is 3 megabits per second. When you connect your computer to the modem with a cable, with an Ethernet cable, the hardwired one, keep in mind that a Cat5 cable, this is why I have a picture of a cat. See what I did there? So with the cat, and never mind. So a Cat5 cable can only run 100 megabits per second. I have to admit, here's some vulnerability. I was so stupid that I did not realize that I got a 550 megabits per second service, and between the modem and my laptop I had a Cat5 cable that limited me to 100 megabits per second. So if you do have a Wi-Fi glitch, that would be another reason to have that. By the way, another way to do that is to actually use your phone as an access point. You go to your computer, you connect to your computer, but you also connect to your phone. One of the things, if I ever need to do that, is first of all, I move around the house and I check what is the speed, the internet speed I get on my phone in different places in the house to see if there is a better place for me to put the phone and rely on that. There's a cool tool called Speedify. Speedify is another tool that costs something like $2-3 a month. That is a piece of software that runs on your computer that would do the automatic handover, just like that dual monitor. I'll just go through this last part and then open it up to questions. Power. What if power went away? That happens too. Do you remember, who was it? We had two speakers, a husband and wife, that presented that they had 2 power outages while they were presenting to our chapter. And I don't have to worry about that. So what I do is I have one UPS here under my table. So all of the equipment here is connected to it. And, even if I use the cellular, so the charger is connected there, I have a second UPS to support the modem and the router. So if something happened and I lost power, there's no power to the house, I still have power because I have these 2 UPSs. Why do I have 2 and not 1? Mainly because the modems are in another room, as you can imagine, as probably is the case. When you choose a UPS, how do you choose a UPS? Look at what you're connecting to it. What is the power consumption on the different parts? Again, I have a better video if you go to Tech Tips for Speakers that described it. So I'm just going to skip this part. One of the other things, it really is, by the way, people think that it's the UPS. It's really that's going to determine how much time do I have. It's really the battery inside the UPS. So if you have a small battery, it doesn't matter what size your UPS is, that's going to be your limiting factor. One thing that I'm toying with that I'm going to do at some point, I'm going to put a charger inverter and a car battery, maybe even an outside generator, so I can run for days. Again, make a checklist to what you do in case of a power outage. And my last comment before we open it up to 4 full minutes of questions is just go to Tech Tips for Speakers. I know that I went very fast. I warned you at the beginning that I'm going to go very fast. I was mainly trying to show you what is possible, what is available. But watch the video again if you want to see how I did something specific. But once again, this playlist that you see there, I did for you. I didn't do it for anybody else. A lot of people are watching it, but I did it for you. And so just watch them. And if there is an area you want me to shoot a video on, I'm still committed to shoot just about 1 video a week to give you one more tip, one more tool. With that, I'm going to open it to questions. So now we have full 3 minutes of questions. But by the way, I'm going to stay here. So, and I think I'm the co-host, so I may be able to keep this call even after Peggy goes to sleep.
Okay, Yoram, I have a question. This is Chris. How many of the images that you were putting on the screen were slides from PowerPoint versus scenes from OBS?
Okay, so what I have inside of the windows are PowerPoint slide. I shouldn't even say PowerPoint slide. What I had here, what you see here is just screen number 1. This is my screen number 1. This is my laptop screen. And so let me just show you that on the other camera. So I'll go to the other.
PowerPoint though?
Yeah, so what I have running here right now is a PowerPoint. Up here, this is where I moved my OBS screen. This is my Zoom screen. Okay, so this is what.
Have a JPEG file.
Where?
It's just as a background, as a static.
Are we saying you could have a?
You can capture the image as a JPEG.
Right.
Okay, yeah, no, there's what you see here in this scene. Let's kind of break down this scene. I'm going to bring OBS down here. So to break out this scene, what you see on the you're seeing it's not a JPEG. By the way, I prefer PNGs. They have better qualities. So I always save things as PNGs, PNG format. There are a few PNGs involved here in creating the windows. There is a video that I purchased that you see in the background. I created this little logo as a video. I created that, and there's that video. What you see behind me is an image that I replaced the green screen with. I don't know, Chris, if that's what you were asking.
No, the images, I guess, that we're seeing to your left that changes. You know, you're static there with your background, but then you have images changing. Is that a PowerPoint slide deck that you're changing those slides on, or are those different scenes you created in OBS?
No, this is whatever I bring into my laptop screen is what you see on the left.
OBS is only a switcher.
Yeah.
OBS is only like an assembler.
Yeah.
So in OBS, you tell it if you want to get a photo and put it into something, or if you want to tap into a PowerPoint slide deck that you're running, or if you want to tap into a video or to an online source.
You know,
it's all it does is pull those together into OBS, so it comes out as a camera.
You know, think of it just like a police car, okay? That's it. I can't make the bridge.
Chris, can I? Are you running OBS, Chris?
No, I struggled with OBS for probably about 3 weeks or a month, and then I have a Macintosh. I switched to a thing called Ecamm Live, and it's been just a dream. But it's like a $250 annually a year, and no Yoram, plain old PD's not paying for it, it's out of my own pocket. But now I've got the pro version, which I think next year will be $360 a year. But it's fantastic. If you have a Macintosh, it's amazing.
Chris, if I can address, just as from what I have discovered, is you can run a PowerPoint like he has done, but you can't literally have an entire PowerPoint. I think Jim does it on another computer. But you can also have in that scene column several different images, and when you switch them, it's like you're switching a slide. It's just another image that you uploaded, which is very different than an entire PowerPoint file. Because that was always going to involve, for me, entering a second display as my new source.
So let me show you something. I'm in a scene here, and I want to show you what I can bring in. You know what? I'm going to make it bigger. When I do a plus here, these are the type of things that I can bring. I can bring a group of things. I can capture a window. I can capture, this is really a video camera. Text, there are some cool things you can do with text. I can capture another scene, which is something that I did, so I kind of layer them. An NDI source, so I can bring something in as an NDI source. A media source, like a video. An image slideshow, Chris, is what you were asking about. So I can create a slideshow simply by having multiple images and have OBS be my PowerPoint, except you're not going to have, all the transitions and all, and animations. I can bring in an image, a game capture if I have a game running, a display capture, which is what I'm doing right now because I'm just capturing my my computer screen. Whatever a color source is, I can bring in just the browser, an audio output capture, or an audio input capture, which would be a microphone. So those are the type of things that I can bring into an OBS scene.
This is, by the way, why it really helped me having two computer screens running off of, having an extra screen off of my laptop, so I could have the PowerPoints running. In fact, I have two screens. The PowerPoint runs on one screen, and the Zoom call runs on the second screen, and my third one is running the OBS.
Well, I
It's
need
made
to
it
spend
simpler.
some coffee breaks with you guys, but can I just say that that second screen, though, it was persnickety because unless you restarted Zoom or you restarted sometimes your OBS, it would not recognize that second display, so I got lost in the weeds. But I'm going to stick with OBS. I am determined to learn this because I think it's you can do it, but it's just that one tiny thing.
And
I
Kelly,
recognized my webcam the other day, and all I had to do was unplug it and plug the webcam back in.
Kelly, I'll tell you one thing. There are quite a few people on the call right now that have called me to ask for advice, and I don't think that anybody's going to say that I said no. Well, except Chris, because he's using Apple, so I don't want to help
Yeah,
him.
you always tell me no, brother.
Yeah, but other than him, I help everybody.
Exactly. When I call, it's like, look at the time, look at the time.
Awesome, man. Great.
Well, that's because he calls me after my bedtime at 8 p.m.
Hey, Yoram, this is Jill. I have just a super quick question. On the slide that you had about the internet backup, you had the Frontier fiber modem and the Spectrum cable modem, and you said your internet providers use different somethings in reference to that, and I missed the word that you said.
The word I used was
IP address.
the word I used was tashtit,
And in English, that?
and in English it translates into infrastructure.
Thank you. That was it.
Infrastructure. So what I mean by that is Frontier provides internet here, at least here in Plano or my part of Plano. Frontiers provides internet using a fiber optic infrastructure. Spectrum offers internet using a cable infrastructure. Those are different infrastructures. So if something happens to one of them, I can probably assume that the other one is still going to work. I have not had a single internet outage since this happened, and I had quite a few before. So you want to make sure, because since the 1996 Telecommunication Act, where service provider can offer you service over somebody else's infrastructure, you got to be worried. You got to be careful to not get two different service providers that are actually using the same infrastructure. Yeah.
I needed the right word because my husband's my tech guy, and if I didn't have that extra fill-in word, he might be lost. So,
Say tashtit to him. Let's see how he handles Hebrew.
He'll think I'm swearing at him, so let me go ahead. But this has been extremely helpful, and you have been fabulously helpful and generous in your sharing privately. So really appreciate all that you're doing and offering.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And again, I'm sorry that I know that I had to do this balance. In 2 hours, there's no way that, especially since you can't try things yourselves, there's no way that I could cover all of it in 2 hours and really show you the how-to steps. But I wanted to show you what's possible. I wanted to show you what it looks like. Give you the opportunity, because Peggy is recording or Bruce is recording, give you the opportunity to then go back to the recording and see what I did there, because I'm sure that if you want to do that, you're going to go there. There is that YouTube playlist, which I bought the domain just to make it easy for you to get there, techtipsforspeakers.com, and I really just made it for you, and you know that you can get a hold of me. That was really one of the most satisfying things that happened to me during this pandemic, is to help you, my fellow speakers, not worry about the technology that much.
A quick question as far as the scene. When I'm doing it properly, I need to be layering the right way, correct? So there should be an order of how I'm layering so that they show up.
So, Karen, this time it is a good question because I do know the answer. It's really a matter of your preference and what do you want to see. I spoke. Nikki and Jim had me on the fireside chat that we had in our chapter, and I talked about this setup that I have here. And one of the things that I mentioned is that the most important thing is you got to think about what you want the people on the other side to see. And once you have this in your mind, then it's a question of how do I layer it to get it right? Because initially I did something that most people would do, and that is I'm going to put a background, and then on top of it, I'm going to layer the camera and layer the PowerPoint. And now what I'm doing is actually the opposite. I have the PowerPoint, I have my camera, and on top of it, I've put something else with green rectangles on it, which I eliminated with through putting. You know what? Maybe the only. Okay, you're not gonna see me for a minute here, but I want to show you what this looks like, so you know how I have this.
What you did initially is what I did initially, and it didn't, and it just like at a certain point didn't work. So I was able to do little overlays, but then when I wanted to put the background, it wasn't in the right order.
Yeah, it's you know what. If you and I Zoom, and I'll try and help you to do that remotely. But here, for example. Back here, it's the dual tech that I wanted to show you. So dual tech would be, oh, right there. So this. That's kind of the. It's a lot easier for me to record this and show you what I do in a recording than to try and show you live what I do in another scene while you're watching that scene. So it's a little hard technically to do it live, but yeah. Karen, just reach out to me and I'll do my best.
Because that and the other thing that happened was when I set up OBS and it was working with minimally, and then when I added the Stream Deck Mini, I wasn't getting the OBS to work properly and show up.
Yeah, well, I'll try to help you with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Chris Bianes, is anyone is on a. Can we, Peggy? Is there a way to just bump Chris Bianes off the call? I mean, he keeps asking Apple questions.
We can mute him.
Oh, I know how.
Hey,
Hang on, I'm gonna dial 9.
By the way, hey, Yoram, listen, unbelievable. You know I'm your greatest fan. An unbelievable job, and I am going to go ahead and credit you the 2 hours toward your community service. So, 2 hours down. Good job, brother.
I'm not supposed to do community service. I'm supposed to go to jail. Oh.
Thank you, Yoram. See you all next time.
Yoram, how does Stream Deck connect into when you plug Stream Deck into your laptop? How does it input into OBS?
Well, it's USB. Let's start with it's plugging into the computer with USB. Once you install it, you will see that there is. Which one is it? You know what?
Do the software, Jim. You have the software installed? It's
Oh, there you go. See this
OBS.
this plugin here? I'm going to make it bigger. Jim, do you see this plugin here that I'm pointing to? Elgato Remote Control for OBS Studio?
Yes.
That's the plugin. When you install that Stream Deck, when you install it, this is the plugin that gets plugged into OBS. That's how they communicate.
It mirrors your keyboard. So whatever you have in your control, it shows up on that Stream Deck too.
Yeah.
So it picks it up right away. It's amazing.
Yeah, this was one of the easiest installations. So this is the Stream Deck panel. They don't really fit in, but this is the Stream Deck panel. So it mirrors everything in the actual Stream Deck box, and this is OBS, and so it comes with a plugin, and it installs so seamlessly that you don't even know that it got installed into OBS.
Yoram, are you using an iPad or a phone for an additional Stream Deck panel?
No, I'm good with this one. You know, again, notice this. Oh, I'm pointing at the wrong screen. I'm telling you, this webinar was harder than any webinar I do on trust. I help organizations build trust, be trusted, and know who to trust, and it's a lot easier than trying to navigate all the screens and showing you what I'm doing. But anyway, see this button here? This button here allows me to have, you know, it's kind of to multiply Stream Deck. So if I click this, see, I even have another layer here. This is my F18. This is the OFC panel for the F18. So you can have multiple things that you are using. That 15 button OBS, just keep one button to go up and down between layers. So I don't need another one. And you know, having 8 different scenes is a lot. It's but you know what? Here, 8 scenes, 3 different screens that I can plug in as the second screen, my live button, my .com button, and my record button. That's all I need. 15 buttons are enough. I don't need another phone. By the way, another thing I'm going to show you here for a second. If we go to this other camera, so this is that one, but at the same time, I can have another one and use my iPhone. Okay, my iPhone right now waits for USB, so we're going to do Wi-Fi for a second here. It's connecting to my computer, and there is my iPhone. Here's another camera, and you can see the quality is pretty darn good.
Hey, I have a question on a camera hookup.
Yeah.
I thought just for fun, I wanted to get like a separate camera view for another angle, because I think it is very great when you change the scene, and I think it keeps your people interested in everything. So I got a 4K, put it up on the tripod, and it has that HDMI. It's the tiny HDMI where you go, and then it goes to the really big regular HDMI. And as soon as I plugged it in, the camera shut off because it thought it was playing back instead of recording. So I didn't know, am I supposed to put it on record when I'm, or is it just literally one of those where it's on and it's supposed to be part of you?
You plugged it into the PC's HDMI port?
Well, actually I plugged it into that ATEM, which I think is quickly going to be going away because it didn't recognize it. And I thought, you know, you watch the videos and it's like, well, you plug it in and it just goes, and it didn't go. It didn't go anywhere. So I didn't know, is there anything special you need to do on the camera to make sure that it sees? Because everything you do, when you switch it, boy, it's on, it's going.
I never had a problem connecting a camera. I mean, typically
well, what's the cable on the camera that you have right now, that when you do that scene behind you, what's that cable?
That one? So what I have...
Sony.
Yeah, the Sony one. This one.
Don't you need a cam link for that, Johan, to convert it from a DSLR to as a webcam?
I guess that's what the ATM was supposed to do, huh?
Let me
Cam
just.
link is the little thing.
Yeah,
The
what?
cam link is the little thing.
So-
I can't run it straight in, is what you're saying.
It's
Well,
supposed to, an ATM is supposed to be able to handle the camera.
yeah.
Okay, so that would be the only reason that I might. Tim, you're not chiming in on this. What are you using?
Which team?
Tim Lansford has an eCam. We can't hear you, Tim.
I think he's gone.
No, Tim Lansford's right there.
Vince Vicente uses ECam also.
Tim, I can't hear you. What's up with your?
Maybe he's not there anymore.
No, he is, but he's.
Maybe he just doesn't want to talk to you.
I don't know what's
His
going on.
mouth is moving, but nothing is coming out.
I know how your wife feels now. What's up with that? He can hear us. Anyway, what's the cable though, Yoram? Are you using that link?
So what I have, the other camera, I have a mini HDMI port coming out of it. I have an adapter from mini HDMI to regular HDMI.
Yeah.
I have an HDMI cable that runs close to my computer, and then I have this little adapter, just like the Cam Link. This is the cheaper one, $20-something, that plugs as USB.
Okay, so time out. If I have a webcam, I have a C925, and I pull another because that runs on USB and it goes straight into my computer, and I have one of these ports where I've got like 4 different USBs going in for different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I did do the camera, which has the mini HDMI and the big regular one on the other end of that, that's the cable that came with the camera, and I ran that into here, then I don't have any more HDMI ports to see maybe a monitor. I'd have to monitor wirelessly or something.
Wait. You are plugging the HDMI into the computer?
No, I'm just asking because I haven't done that yet.
No,
I
you
haven't tried
can.
it.
The
I went-
HDMI port on the computer is only an output.
Well, no, but oh,
Yes.
oh.
It's not going to take an input.
Okay, so the only reason that it might have worked is when I had that USB-C cord through the ATEM, but I don't have a USB. I
Yes.
don't know what I have on this one. I don't think I have it on. I wouldn't have it on my computer. Would I?
Me neither.
ATM does the conversion just
There
like
it is.
a
Okay, that's
little conversion box.
Yeah.
then that's it.
But you got to convert the HDMI into a USB plug, or else it won't work.
Yeah.
So if I trade in the ATEM for the Chromecast little thing you got, that probably is going to do it. I see you, Dr. Karen, shaking, nodding. Yeah, that's what I need to do. All right.
So Johan, so what was that? It was called? Is that called a handy cam? The one that you're using instead of the Cam Link?
No, the Handycam is the Sony camcorder brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
This little thing is called, let's see,
Okay.
El Cheapo. It's
Mine's more LT, but
it's like an HDMI to you. Here is. It's called the HDMI to USB converter that costs less than $20 and has more than 4 stars on Amazon.
I need that link.
I will find one and I'll send you the link to the one that I got.
Pedro, thank you. No, you literally solved the problem. Thank you.
What else?
On,
Peggy, just for the record, I stopped talking at 8:30. It's them. They kept on
I
talking.
know.
I'm just saying.
Well, listen, anybody has any other questions? I guess we're done for this evening. Thank you so very, very much, Orm. My head is so spinning. You know what's worse than a dizzy blonde is a crazy redhead. I have no idea where to start first.
I know. I'm with you, Peggy. This is like way over my head, but that's
Yeah.
okay. And I use OBS.
I don't even know what OBS is.
So
Anyway,
I
again,
really encourage you to watch Yorm's videos if you haven't seen them,
Yeah.
because they
I
are
did
very detailed. I watch them on my iPad so that I can pause it as I do the function on the actual laptop
yeah.
to do it. They're very helpful. It's saved me several times.
yeah, that just go to Tech Tips for Speakers. Those videos are for you, and you will see when people post comments, I get the notification, and as soon as I can, I reply to them to help in whatever I can. It's, you know, again, I know that this was like drinking from the fire hose. At the same time, this is what I promised you, that it will be like drinking from the fire. The idea,
You're great.
the idea is that you'll see what's
Thank
available.
you.
Thank you.
Hey, guys.